What's going on, everybody? It's Retro Jojo. I haven't made a video in quite some time, and sorry for that. But I'm back with another video, and just want to talk about some things that I've been watching and or playing and things like that. It's just been, kind of a random video, not really a structure like I've been doing, where I talk about top tens or things like that. It'll just kind of be just a random video because I'm off work. So I figured I would go ahead and do another video. And so yeah, I'll just get into it. So this game is a game that I did not expect to like as much as I did. I originally played it after I got it, maybe wasn't a year ago, it was a couple months ago, and I got it at this game store in Jacksonville, Florida, and it was a cheap game, but and it's an Xbox exclusive as well, and I was kind of like, for the original Xbox, and I was kind of like, it's made by EA Games, and I was kind of like, because I never played any of the games in the series, but I was pleasantly surprised when I started playing it again, and that would be Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. I don't know if it's gonna pick this up or not, but Oddworld Stranger's Wrath is a great shooter. You actually play as Stranger. He's a bounty hunter, and throughout the game, you'll bag him and tag him is what he says, I believe, and either dead or alive based on however you see fit to take in the bounty. It's a little more difficult the further along that you progress to bringing in bounties alive than it is, just take them out and, dead. So, but you get less moolah or money or whatever you want to, that's what it's called in the game, it's called moolah, if you bring them in dead. So it's a lot of strategy. It's not just your typical, going guns blazing type of shooter. But it has a lot of characters. There's a lot of different characters. If you've ever watched, what's the name of that? A Treasure Planet. If you've ever seen the movie Treasure Planet, and I think it's Rango. If you've ever seen those movies, take that and make that into a game, and kind of the animation style and the Western theme of Rango, the animation style of Treasure Planet. That's the best way to describe it. And it's very, I got really into the story. Like, I didn't think I was going to. I thought, it's just another, generic, maybe you could say, shooter. And once I gave it a second chance and I actually played it and got used to the game mechanics and, bought some you can buy upgrades at the general store, or you can just wait until you kind of get them. But some of them you're going to want to purchase to kind of boost Stranger the further along that you go. But Stranger is trying to have this surgery from the doc, and he needs 10,000 moolah in order to do it. So you go to these different towns, from Buzzarton to New York City, New York. I always thought that was cool. And there's a lot of crude humor in it. There's a lot of funny moments, and it doesn't go too far. Some games, and that's okay. If the game's based around that, if it's based around it's going to go too far, then that's the kind of game that it is. But if it's not meant to go too far, then I feel like maybe it shouldn't go too far. Whatever kind of game that the developers rather are trying to make, that's what they should stick with, their formula. And they did very well in doing that with this game. The other characters throughout the game do use actual guns, and Stranger does not. Stranger he has a crossbow. It's kind of mounted on his arm, like right here, and it's a dual, so it's got one on one side and one on the other, and you can switch between the ammo based on what you want to do. You want to use this ammo for this or this for that, and you kind of have to strategize when you enter each area. You strategize what you're going to do next. So I thought that was really a new gameplay mechanic, and very just integrative. It's just integrated a lot of great ideas, and it came together really well. So I thought, wow, this game's really good. And then I just want to mention, I wrote down some notes for this, just so that I could, keep the info, moving along, instead of it, I noticed in some of my other videos it kind of slowed down a little. And I say a lot, and I apologize for that, but sometimes I get a little bit of brain fog, and I think it happens to all of us, and it's okay. I'm getting better about not doing those things and saying those things, so y'all bear with me. I appreciate all my subscribers, but I do use notes from time to time just to keep myself, informed. And as time progresses, I plan to be able to, maybe study the notes so that I won't need them as much. But there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of a side note to help you along. But anyway, he uses chipmunks, fuzzles, zap flies, sting bees, bolamites, stunks, and baboon bats. And these are all little creatures that you actually have to hunt to have ammo throughout the game. Later in the game, you get upgrades, like I said, where you can actually it'll attract more of those creatures to you, so you always never are without ammo. There's always a reserve somewhere, and you can get it for each individual one, or you can just get it for the ones that you're going to use the most. I recommend the sting bees and like boom bats and thud slugs being the ones that you really make sure that you have enough of, that there's plenty of them around, that it'll attract more, from their natural habitat. Some of them are even in boxes, like boxes or cages or things of that nature throughout the game the further you progress. And the story takes a weird turn. So basically this guy named Secto, and he's like this, he almost is like a fish kind of thing. And he actually has a bottled water company that he's using the dam that it belongs to the other inhabitants, and he's using it to then, I guess, sell them the water back. It never really you don't really get a whole lot into that, but that's what he's doing. He's using their resource and then selling it back to them. So they think that he's evil, especially the lizards, because they need their water just like everyone else, and he's taking it from their rivers and from their, he's basically using all their resources against them, but then they have to buy it. So it's very interesting story, but he basically contacts Stranger, and spoiler alert if you don't want it to be spoiled, but he tells Stranger that he can, if he can bag one of these Steefs, then, which a Steef is a type of creature in Oddworld, especially in in Stranger's Wrath lore, it's very prominent. So and it's deep rooted, and some of it in the game is not very well explained, I don't feel like. But then again, my copy didn't have the manual, so maybe the manual had some lore or insight about what Steefs are and stuff like that. But again, I got it really cheap, like $7 or $8, which was a steal for this amazing game. But you also find out later in the game that because he was going to pay him, I think it was like 10 or 20,000. So it was more. I think it was 20,000 moolah. So that was way more than what Stranger needed for his surgery. And Stranger, goes upriver in New York City to see the doc. And when he does, because he's close or has enough money at that point to have the surgery, well, Doc's been strung up, and he's dead. And so there's nothing that Stranger can do at this point other than fight the men that killed his only chance and only hope of feeling more like himself by having his operation. Well, then you find out later after they capture Stranger, because there's nothing you can do. I tried to, in-game fight him off. I thought, man, maybe you can fight him off. You can't. You can fight as long as you want, but they're going to capture you. It's one of those things. There's another game that I played that's like that. One of my favorite games of all time, and I've talked about that on another video before that particular game. But there's nothing you can do in that instance either. Once you're captured, you're captured. You can't fight them all off. It's part of the progression of the story. So anyway, you basically are captured, and because he contacts another bounty hunter, of course, typical, you know, big billionaire business owner, he's not going to just contact one bounty hunter. He's got to contact two, because what if the other one doesn't get to it, that sort of thing. And lo and behold, some paperwork falls out of Stranger's like shirt, because they took off his he had like a hat. You can kind of see it on this front cover a little bit. I don't know if it'll pick it up because he's standing next to a post with his crossbow there. But he's got the hat. He's got the it's typical. Kind of reminds me of if you've ever seen a Clint Eastwood spaghetti western type of thing, like Magnum Enforcer or A Few Dollars More, stuff like that. Just for a few dollars more, I believe it's called, actually. If you've ever seen stuff like that, just that's how it looks. So they take all of that off him, his belt, and then they take it falls out of his shirt, and he's actually got schematics for what he's going to have his surgery, and there's 2 back legs that he was going to have needed to be removed, right? Well, then you find out through that Stranger is actually a Steve himself. Spoilers. This is a big spoiler. If you don't want it spoiled, throughout the video, you may want to pass up on some of this information, but I just thought it was really interesting because there's something I want to point out with just this game alone in this video, and correlate it to real life, but it basically progresses that he has to get out of there, because now his secret's out, and you get away from the other bounty hunter, actually take him out, and then they get trapped inside the building while it's burning, because there were explosive barrels in that building. Why they strung him up in there, I don't know. He actually gets free from the bounty hunter and his men, his goons, by the lizard people. And I don't know exactly what they're called, but they look like almost look like the Geico gecko or like a leopard gecko. And they talk funny, and they're really funny and kind of cute in their own way. But they actually adore Stranger. So when Stranger gets free, he goes to that village. He takes, gets a little sleep or nap or what, if you will, and then he goes to the village. And long story short, he protects them. You find out that the Steve that originally was over their village, he just disappeared, man. he's just gone. And so that's how they talk. He's trying to, personally, like, he's gone, man. I don't know. We don't know where he went, man. So, Stranger says that he will, help them fight Secto and his forces. So you kind of go through this compound, and then you go through some other areas, and then you go through the water plant and things like that. And at the end of the game, towards the end of the game, you actually fight like 4 of them, and I can't remember exactly what they're called, but they look like Cthulhu in a way. And then they have like these long tendrils, and then some of them have like blades and stuff on them, and they walk on 2 of them, and they're actually pretty difficult. The first one's not, the second one's not too bad, but the boss before Secto is actually 2 of them at the same time. And what they do, they have this acid that they spit out, and it'll wrap Stranger up just like bola mites, because bola mites will wrap up prey or bounties, and when Stranger uses them, because they're spiders. So in that regard, they have their own thing, and you have to struggle free. Like, you have to press L&R, or move the joysticks, and you have to do that each time they capture you. And as they get closer, then they'll start using the spin attack. Like I said, they have blades that they walk on. They'll put their other feet down and like do the spin attack. And they're I don't know what in the world they were thinking with this when they did this. I don't know if it's actually been re-released on HD for newer gen consoles, and the graphics have been up tremendously. I do like the old school graphics, but I have watched gameplay of the new HD, and it does look a little, it looks a little better. But if you like the retro and you can find it and you have an original Xbox, I say go for it. But there's no way to auto cancel it. So in other words, like if you try to get away and you're already in that combo, and they're both hitting you at the same time, there's no way to get out of it. You just have to die and start over. And I got very, very, very frustrated with that. To the point I was almost yelling at the TV, but I knew I was so close to finishing this game, I could feel it. And then you fight Secto, and he has like these 2 generators, one on each side. You have to shoot him to take him out. It falls, and then you get a cutscene. And this is where the game really, I really wish they would do a second one. But I'm not the people, I don't know if EA has rights to it anymore or what the deal is with Stranger's Wrath, but I believe there should be a second one, just in my opinion. Some people may disagree and say it should just be how it is, but based on the ending, I think there should be. So you find out that Secto himself was actually the old Steve, and Secto was not the Steve himself, because you find his body and you kind of see feet. You and the lizard, I can't remember what they're called right now, but the lizard people, you know what I'm referring to. And you see his feet, and the stranger's like, ugh, like, kind of like gasp, like, oh, egad type of thing. And he takes basically the creature that was on his face, which is Secto, comes off of the face. It fell off when they were, I guess he got blown out of the window when, the explosion of the plant type of thing, or the dam actually broke. And when that broke, if I remember right, something of that nature, then that's how so the plant is gone, and the water, reserve, the dam broke. I'm saying that word not to say not a cursing or anything, but using it as that's what it is. It's like when beavers build them, I'm not using it as a bad word, so don't take it that way. But when that broke, I believe that's how that happened anyway. And so then you see Secto kind of come up out of the water, and you see his eyes, and he goes back down and dives down in the water, and he's like this octopus looking creature, kind of like the Steve Hunters that I was referring to earlier. He kind of looks like a smaller version, or like an overlord type of thing of them. His eyes are red with like orange fire in his eyes. He's just pure evil. And it shows a lot of Native American like quotes and like different culture proverbs and stuff about accepting oneself and like your destiny and things like that. And I was actually kind of moved by the game, because I wasn't boo-hoo crying, but it was a nice ending to a great game, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I highly recommend Stranger's Wrath. If you've never played it, I recommend you play it, because it is, man, it was one of my favorite games that I just popped in for. I'm just going to play this for a few minutes, and you can ask my wife. I had been playing that game for close to a month. I mean, I had played it just when I was off of work. Excuse me, everybody. I had played it when I was off of work, and I was like, I like it, and then I just got sucked into the lore and the Stranger. He just wants to be like everybody else. Why can't he just be like everybody else? Why can't he be socially accepted? And so he wants to have this major surgery that could hurt him, or potentially he could die from. You have to think about those kind of factors too. Just making your own lore in your mind. He could die of blood loss. He could, it may not work. But he was willing to take a risk so that he could be normal, and also so he could hide the identity of Steve's forever, because they were going extinct. There was very few of them left, and so he wanted to protect his kind and his bloodline and everything, but also he wanted to fit in so that he could be just a normal bounty hunter, because he wears boots, but all 4, before he's discovered, but all 4 are like in, 2 in each boot, and they're kind of like metal boots that he can still run in with both legs in, one boot. So it's really interesting, great game. And I want to mention also, as you progress, like the different like ammo that he uses, it becomes more and more and more, how do you say it, like it's more effective. So like boom bats will be, they'll have more of a radius, and then like your let's see, the sting bees become like hornets, and it's like a rapid fire, kind of like a minigun type of thing. So it's really different. Your fuzzles become rapid fuzzles. It just, it's just a game that feels right. You know, it has a lot of potential. The chipmunks become they get little speakers in like a gaming headset. I thought that was really neat. And the chipmunks are like the only one that will talk to you, which I thought was really, really cute. Like he's like, hey, what's going on, ugly, or something like that, or he'll say, are you gonna shoot me or what? Like, you know, it's cute. And then one of my favorites, he says, my brother, how are you doing, my brother? And it's just it's silly, it's cute, it's fun, and it's not too gory either. That's another thing. Games don't always have to be bloody, gory, messy, filled media for them to be great, or full nudity, or full of just of profanity and obscene things, you know, and alcohol and drugs and everything. You know, everybody can do what they want. I'm just saying, you know, as far as those kind of things go in the real world, you know, everybody has choices to make. But here's my thing. As far as games go, I mean, this game's rated T, and it blew my socks off. I mean, it does. What I'm saying, it doesn't have to be M and just full of every single bad thing. It has a little bit of crude humor, and it has a ton of great stuff in it, man. So if you can pick it up, it does say on the back. I just realized this. I don't know if you can see this, but it says that it's T and it has blood and gore, which it has a little bit. Like I say, it's not, like I'm saying, it's not too bad. It has violence, which of course, but it also says it has strong language. And to my knowledge, I don't remember them using a whole lot of strong language. There's one sequence where he asks him a password, and it like bleep, 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 bleep. It was just a bunch of bleeps. So maybe that's what they're referring to. I don't. There's a couple of words throughout the game, but not anything like if you compared it to GTA. That's what I'm saying. That's a lot different. That's a big difference. So, but great game. You can kind of see the ammo right here if you guys would like to see that. Let me get where I can get that glint off of it. There we go. And it says, Oddworld just got stranger. You're the stranger, a mysterious bounty hunter on a mission to bag the ultimate prize. One of the most anticipated titles of 2005. This game is older, but like I said, there's an HD remake if you want to play it. I recommend it very highly. Live ammo, choose how you abuse. Load your double-barrel crossbow with chipmunks, boom bats, and other live ammo. Blast, bash, or smash. Take down ornery outlaws in third person, fat fists flying, brawls, or first person, both barrels blazing shootouts. It's a great game, everybody. I love that game, and it's one of my top Xbox games right now. I'm playing a lot of original Xbox, and also another console that we're going to talk about right now. So I'm going to switch gears, and we're going to get into the next game that I want to talk about. But Oddworld, Stranger's Wrath, definitely pick it up, man, if you can. Either way, however you can. But now, I don't have the cover art for this, but this is one of my... I'll actually open this up and show everybody. But I had a copy of it. Don't know what happened to it. But I found this at a GameStop. And this is the other console I'm getting back into because my gun peripheral, or my peripheral for like the Wii Zapper, the like, you know, it's like the gun peripheral thing. The nunchuck or whatever, it was like it wouldn't connect or whatever. So I didn't play any of these for a while, but I'm getting back into playing them a little. And that would be the one that I've been playing, or I played it last night actually, of all things. It's House of the Dead 2 and 3 Returns. Yeah, Returns. It says return on here, but that says returns. Okay. But I'll try to show this. I don't know if it's going to pick it up, so I'm sorry if it doesn't. You can kind of see some of the art there. Not much I can say about the show with the cover art, really. But I can honestly say that it's one of my favorite Wii games, just because I grew up playing I believe it was the first or second or both at a arcade in Waycross, Georgia, and it was called the Robotron Arcade. I'll never forget it. Went in there with my cousin a couple times. Went there with my good buddy and brother, Robert, and a couple other people. Just a bunch of good memories in that arcade. And House of the Dead is one of the games that me and Robert used to play, even though I was terrified of it. We played it. I would like get the zombies taken out, and I would always hand it to him with the boss because I thought it was too hard for me. And that, you know, things like that make games like that memorable. But House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return brings both games together. So you get two. You don't get the first one, which I think that should have been like an unlockable in my opinion. But it is what it is. If you've ever played House of the Dead, then you know, like, it starts in the mansion, and you're trying to stop. I believe it's not Daniel Kieran because that's the son, but it's his father, and then he actually gets killed by his own creation. Spoiler. And then the second one's the one that's on here, the second and third, and you get to play. You're trying to stop Goldman. He's trying to make another revolution like what Kieran was doing, and basically bring about the destruction of mankind now is what he's trying to do in the second one. And you fight a lot of memorable bosses like Strength. What's another one? I can't remember the other one's name. It's like he's like a looks like creature from the Black Lagoon type of thing. You fight him. There's just a bunch of different creatures and zombies and things for you to take out. Or they look like zombies. They're not zombies. They're not supposed to be anyway. It's like this created thing that he's trying to create to take over the world, basically. There's a lot of blood and gore in both of them. 3 more so follows the story, gets back to the kind of original story, and it's a blast to play both of them. I won't say too much. There's a bunch of memorable bosses in the game, and it plays and handles very well on the Wii. I thoroughly enjoyed myself playing 2 and 3. I played both of them last night. They're not long games, they're shorter games, but it's about the experience. It's not just about, I got to play a 7, 10, 20, 30 hour game. I personally don't sit that well that long. I know I have friends that can pop a game in and play it for 10 hours straight. I just don't do that anymore. Very rarely, unless it's something like the one I mentioned earlier, or, I play a short game, or I play a couple short games. It's just my thing. Or if I'm playing with friends or like my wife, yeah, I'll play for a little while. I just like to take breaks in between, and things of that nature. But as far as both of those games go, 3 has a little bit of better graphics, but at the same time, I think the nostalgia of 2 is a little bit better in my opinion, because the moment that I popped it in and heard that "you're next, get him" from the little imp looking dude, I was just like, wow, this takes me all the way back to playing those games. And it's just, there's nothing wrong with a nostalgia trip, nothing at all. If you like things like that like I do, there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. It's completely normal and completely fine. I thoroughly enjoy myself every time I pop games like that in, and it's just a blast. And looking back, I remember playing a lot of games like that I wish I could play that again. Games like, I'll just give some examples. Go with House of the Dead. Carnival is one of them, and that's only an arcade exclusive. There's nothing else. Let's see. What's another good one? Another good one would be, there's like one called Mugen. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that, but it's basically like you pull the sword from the stone, and it uses kind of Wii mechanics, and I thought that was really fun back in the day. You use the like sword as like to fight with, and you actually like block and then strike back, and it's just fun. Me and my friend, like I said, me and Robert used to play that. My friend, my good buddy, and it's just lots of fun. So games like that, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, the graphics are a little bit but you know what? Hey, it's fun, and it's something that I enjoy because of the nostalgia for it. Can't say too much else about it. My favorite boss in House of the Dead, period, is the Magician. I enjoy fighting him. He's a fun boss to fight. He's very fast paced, especially if you play it on hard mode. But yeah, man, it's just a blast to play. So I can't say much else about House of the Dead. If you like gory, cheesy shooters like that, zombie shooters or whatever you want to call it, then I say go for it. So that's all I can say about that. So let's talk about something else now. This is something that I believe everyone that watches me is going to instantly realize or recognize, and it's one of my all-time favorite horror comedies of all time. It's a Tim Burton film, and if you know anything about what I'm talking about, and you know me, then you know that I love Beetlejuice. Love this movie, man. It's a great movie. Me and my wife have watched it probably 4 times in the past month. Every time that we try to watch it, I fall asleep, which is in short why we have to watch it so many times. I finally got through it all the way without falling asleep the other night, which was great. I may have fell asleep one time, but it just, Michael Keaton is so great as Beetlejuice. Then you have Winona Ryder as Lydia Deetz. I wrote down some names just so I'd have Gianna Davis, Alec Baldwin there, Adam and Barbara, and then you have Catherine O'Hara as what was Lydia's mom's name? But her mom, and Jeffrey Jones as the dad, and Glenn Shaddix as Otho, and Sylvia Sidney was is it Juno? Yeah, that's Adam and Barbara's caseworker in the movie, and I just love the atmosphere of Beetlejuice. I love the fun. Just Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice is so over the top. He's so just quirky and funny, and he was Beetlejuice. When he was doing that, he was him. And it just, I can't say too much about, else other than that for 1988, the effects were great. The music is obviously fantastic. It's a Burton film. I love almost everything that I've seen that Tim Burton's ever done. I like it. Nightmare Before Christmas is way up there. I'm trying to think of some other ones. I think was James and the Giant Peach. Y'all let me know about that. I love that movie too. If it was, I think he had something to do with it. I don't know if it was exactly, but things like that. And Beetlejuice is it used to be Nightmare Before Christmas was over Beetlejuice for me, but with the release coming soon, I think it's September, of Beetlejuice 2, which hopefully they won't mess it up, or they're calling it Beetlejuice. I had to get back into that one, and I'm glad that I did. I got back into the original because it's great. I can't say much else about it. And Adam and Barbara, when they do the transformation, they rip their faces and kind of change their look. Where she's got the eyes on the tongue and her mouth is open like this, and then Adam's got all the eyes on his fingers and he's got no eyes in his head, and it's just his big old long nose and the chicken thing on top of his head looking thing, kind of like a rooster. They're trying to scare him out of the house. They died, and they tried to scare him out of the house, but then they mess up because they wanted help from Beetlejuice. But Beetlejuice is like a freelance bioexorcist, and he's not exactly like, how can you put it? He's not very modest. He's crude, but he's funny, but he's kind of weird, and that they're thinking he's kind of icky, and he's they didn't want Lydia around Beetlejuice because she's a young woman and he's weird, and that's what they thought of him at first. But then he comes back, and then he is like this snake creature. There you get to see the sandworms in the movie in actual it's not there's another version of it, and I think that the original is better and superior. But again, this is a PG movie that released in 1988, and I just think that for 88 it looks great. It's just awesome. There's so many things that I can talk about with it. I wanted to mention something too, though. I was doing a little bit of research because I, just wanted to see if there was anything I may not know about it, and I did. And actually, Beetlejuice, his original name was Bosman, and he worked on this building that's actually in Adam's model for the town. And also, if you look close enough, you can see that the hardware store is actually owned by the Maitlands. It's Maitland's Hardware. So I thought it was really interesting that And another thing, and this is another thing that I just recently discovered watching it. The one that's like the family member, the one that keeps wanting them to sell the house, just sell, right at the beginning, and then they die. It's almost like she put the dog there so that they would crash, right? Because then the house would go to her, and then she could sell it to the Dietzes. So it's almost like she planned that out, and I just think it's just a great movie. Beetlejuice gets involved, it gets funny. It has some, if you have children, it does have some scary elements. Like there's a guy that's been run over that works in the Netherworld, which is where they go. That's where Juno is the caseworker. That's where all the spirits and stuff go. And he's like run over. He's like, he still has like tread marks, and he's all strung up on a clothesline, and he like delivers mail and I guess things of that nature, like letters or things to the caseworkers and stuff. And there's skeletons working the computers, and there's all of the like the receptionist is like Mrs. Argentina, and she had done something to herself. I'm not going to say it here. And to be there in the Netherworld, we'll just put it that way. It's the best way to put it. There's a little bit of dark stuff in the movie, but I think the dark humor and the culminating with the comedy and just Michael Keaton being absolutely crazy and just fun, and I love this movie. There's not enough that I can say about this movie other than that I love it. It just is fantastic. And the ending where he is with Lydia, and then the Maitlands have been brought back by Otho of all people, who has he studied it briefly. Everything's briefly. Studied it briefly. He's the opposite of what you think someone that could do something like that, supernatural. You know what I mean? You wouldn't expect that, and I think that's the genius of what they were trying to do with it, is just make it just as over the top as they could with it, and a lot of differences and similar correlations and connections, and I just think it works perfectly. And then he wants to marry Lydia so that he can stay in the real world. He won't have to be called upon 3 times to be brought back. He'll be there forever. And Beetlejuice has a lot of supernatural powers and things like that, and and a lot of them are just cheesy and funny, but that's the beauty of it. That's what makes it so great, is he's not the best at his job, but then he is, but then he's not. You know what I mean? So it's just, and then he's going to marry Lydia, and this alien comes out to marry him, and he goes to say Beetlejuice, he's like, not the B word. You can't use that, because if he say it 3 times, he has to go back. And it's a fantastic movie. I don't want to tell the whole movie, but it's fantastic. It just one of my favorite movies. So if you've never seen it, I recommend you watch Beetlejuice, because it is great. Next is, I only have season 1 of this, but this is a cartoon version. So I recently discovered this. This came out in '89, and last year my wife and I, we got season 1, and she loves the cartoon. I do too. And it has Lydia, and all of her adventures with Beetlejuice, and she calls upon him to help her with this or help her with that. So it's like a Saturday morning cartoon, and it's a little less gritty than, like I said, there's some thematic elements and subject matter in the movie that, it's okay, but if you have a kid and you want to start them out on Beetlejuice, I would recommend start with a cartoon maybe, and then watch the movie with them. To me, as an adult, if you have children or are gonna have children, it's okay to watch something that has a little bit of scary stuff or something like that, or some kind of subject matter, as long as they understand it. They comprehend, and you explain it to them. Be the adult, be the responsible parent. Explain it to them. Explain what it means, or what it is, or whatever. Or if you don't feel like that's the right time, just say that we'll talk about it later. That's how you grow their minds and keep them. Anyway, that's, you know, I had and still have amazing parents, so I understand a lot of these things that some people don't, unfortunately, because they may not have the same opportunity, you know, and I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying it does happen, and I believe that if you integrate it when they're young and teach them things the right way, you know, I'm not a parent yet, but I've learned a lot through my parents and through other people and just watching other people raise their children and being good parents, you know, being responsible. So, um, but the show is great. The show, it's cute, it's funny. And Lydia has this little outfit where it almost is like a shawl type of thing. It's not a shawl, but it's kind of like a dress type of thing, but it's like an oversized dress shirt, I guess. And it's all spider webs and red and everything. But she gets that when she goes to the Netherworld. But then she has like her other regular clothes when she's in the real world. And like the sandworms are a little on the cheesier side. You know, they're meant to be. It's a kids cartoon. It's Saturday morning cartoon, so it's kind of meant to be more for kids. And you know, it has some things in there for adults too. It has some, you know, innuendos and things like that, and things that you'll catch. But there's plenty of good material and good episodes. I haven't seen a dud yet, really. I've watched all of season one and some of season two. There's actually one episode on that version of Beetlejuice the movie because it's the 20th anniversary edition, and it comes with some different extra material and the special features. So yeah, just a lot of fun. And the cartoon has Allison Court as Lydia and Stephen Ouimet. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Ouimet as Beetlejuice, and so it doesn't have Michael Keaton, but this guy does a good job of portraying Beetlejuice as close as you can get it to Michael Keaton in a cartoon. And I think he did a great job at doing Beetlejuice himself. It just shows just how much love and care was put into material like that back then. And I don't think that we get the same things like that anymore. You know, there's one where Lydia lies to her parents, and then when she goes to the Netherworld, Beetlejuice has skeletons in his closet, reference, and they start saying Lydia lied to her parents, lies, 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 you know, like that. And it teaches kids, I think it has a lot of things kids can learn from in it. You know, let me know if I'm wrong, but I really do. I like the show, and I watch it, and I think it's just so much fun. And you know, Beetlejuice has a lot of memorable lines even in the TV show. So if you've never seen that and you want more Beetlejuice, I definitely recommend it. I plan to get the complete set. Funny story about this though, it was at Walmart around Halloween last year, and I bought season one, and then a couple days later they had the complete series. So I never went back and bought it because this one was 10, the other one was like 20, and I just never went back and spent the extra 10 or extra 20 rather to get it. So it's okay though. So with all that being said though, I want to mention something else really fast. So I recently have gotten some equipment to be able to make merch and things of that nature. And I didn't want to show it in the video because I didn't know how YouTube was about, you know, showing your own merch and things like that. I guess you could, but I just wanted to make sure first and just let everybody know about it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I plan to do t-shirts, maybe a couple jackets. If anybody would like a hoodie with my logo on it or anything like that, or beanies or a hat. If you don't want a shirt, I'm sure we could figure something out like that. I don't know about the hats yet. I might can do a beanie, but I don't know about hats because I think you have to have a special like heat press for that. But I have a Cricut and things like that. So I also plan to do my own, hopefully do my own type of thing with shirts, like original designs and things like that. Or, you know, I'm just planning to do some stuff like that. So if anybody wants to, this is not like me trying to do any kind of copyright anything, because it's all originally me. It's all original, you know, my stuff and things of that nature. So I just plan to do things like that. And if you would like, I don't know if you wanted, you know, like a Christmas shirt or something like that, just let me know. You know, something like with a Christmas tree or stars or something. I don't know. It's just an idea. You know, maybe we'll do some Halloween shirts and things like that. It's just starting out, but I just wanted to let everybody know that I do have some and I will have some more. So if you're interested, just let me know. And if you know me, you know, you could reach out or whatever. So just let me know about that. But I think I've rambled on enough and I've talked y'all's ears off. So I'm going to say goodbye for now and everybody be safe.